broadcasting live from New York City. It's the hottest channel on these YouTube streets. The best jail stories and hood stories are here. Make sure you subscribe today. LAZ. Hey yo, shout out to the bro Ferrari Sheppard, one of the illest dudes I ever had the chance to interview on this channel. You heard bro is a famous artist, a black artist at that, that's making major waves in the art world. His art is outstanding. And he here telling us how he came from one of the worst housing projects in the United States of America's history, Cabrini-Green in Chicago, and made it all the way to the top of this art world, and he's still grinding and doing major things. You feel me? So make sure y'all follow him on Instagram, Ferrari Sheppard, and check this story because it's fire.
Dead fucking end. You know? Like all of the gangsters that I know are gone, man. They either gone or they just went straight, you know, and they want to just have a construction job, man. They just want to like take care of their kids, man. That gangster shit, I don't know who put it into us and what the fuck. I guess it's a survival mechanism, but it's wrong, man. It's wrong.
You know, I saw your art, man. I saw your art. Your art was outstanding. I couldn't believe it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, when did you find out and discover that you had talent like that?
Okay, so the first time that I think I realized that I was an artist, well, I know that I realized I was an artist, was when I was a baby. I think that I might have been, 2 or 3. I have a memory of my grandmother. She took care of me until I was 5 or 6 years old because my mother had to sort some things out, and she brought me to my grandmother who lived in Mississippi, and that's who I knew as my mother until my mother came, But I remember, I have a memory of these Christmas lights that she used to have up. They used to have these just big Christmas lights in the 80s or whatever the fuck. It was just to me, they seemed huge, and I was trying to figure out the relation or the size of these Christmas lights in comparison to me, to my hand, to the things that are around me, the proportion, that's the proper word, the proportion of these lights. And I would stare at them for hours, and that's the first time I remember knowing that I'm an artist. Whenever I was with my mom's or whatever, in the back seat, how you on a car trip across town or whatever, I'll be looking. I'm not paying attention to nothing else. I'm looking at the world. I'm looking at the, anything off in the distance. I'm trying to figure out proportion and size and what does that make me feel. Because I always felt that there, even at that young age, that there's a feeling and a vibration to everything that we're experiencing in life, whether it be through, your any of your sensory glands, your sight, your smelling, all of that, right? So that's when I say I knew that I was an artist. But actually, my first time in a museum was very young. So I got back with my mother, and I was put into this competition when I was in I guess it's kindergarten or whatever you are when you're 6, 5, 6, I don't know how old, and I ended up being picked to be exhibited in the Art Institute of Chicago. And my mother always tells me the story of how this white dude came up to her, you know what I'm saying, and was basically, it's your son is really special, and she was, she just she didn't really know how to to respond to that. Well, thank you. You know what I'm saying? But it was back then. Even then, I was drawing and I was like excelling. I was like going faster than the other kids. You know, and which came to be ironic because every other subject in school I was horrible at. You know, I can't believe I graduated. Like, I graduated high school, right? And I barely graduated. I ditched most of the year of like my junior and senior year, but it was just that I was good at art. So I was good at art and English, you know, like literature and stuff like that. So what I started to do, you know, I don't know if it was a con or whatever. I guess it was a con because I'm like, I know that I can paint really good and I hate being in these classes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mural in the hallway of the high school, and that's going to bring attention to the school. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to go to class, and it worked. Like the principal used to be walking past like, yo, they're like, keep going, man. Keep going. I'm like, man, he ain't even knowing that I'm not in class. Like, fuck this shit, you know. But in hindsight, I'm not promoting that to children or nothing to ditch class. But it's just like as you get older, you realize what education is and what, you know, especially higher education, but even high school education is you are learning the world. The world doesn't change much from high school. You know, it's still about money, women, who can get the most women, who's the most fly, but it becomes more serious as life and death, you know. And yeah, I don't want to just like go all off. You can ask more questions.
Nah, man, you know, you was flowing. The way you said you was living at this time when you was in high school.
So my life has been chopped up. So my father was a hustler. He was a drug, I guess you could call it a drug kingpin. And he, I don't know how to say it, but, you know, he took advantage of women, you know, like he was a pimp. And my mother was, you know, she never was one of his girls, you know, but she was with him. She was his right hand, you know what I'm saying? And they went through a lot of things, and, you know, I'm the only boy, I'm the only male that's been born, and I have sisters. I got about 5 or 6 sisters, and I got one that's with my mother, that's a full sister. Then I have, you know, with other women. But I grew up kind of just understanding that we was outside of society, and that, you know, the criminality aspect of it, you know, what my mother used to do. You know, my mother is a great person. She just got with a dude who was a street dude, and she was green, and shit just got really crazy, you know. And, you know, by the time that I was born, you know, in the early 80s, they had started to fall off because my father had court cases in Louisiana and different states, and he had gun cases and shit like that, and it was draining them. And this was the turn from the 70s into the 80s, where the you know, the gangs started taking over, and this was in Chicago, you know. So he used to have the police on his payroll, and then, you know, suddenly the police come and they bust him, and they like, yo, you got to give us something, you know what I'm saying? Like, basically because they starting to work with the gangs, and the gangs is saying like, he got to go. You can't just be freelancing out here no more. You got to either be paying the tax to us, or you can't be out here. So that started a war between my father and the gangs, and it was basically the vice lords, you know, on the west side of Chicago. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, like, I wasn't there, I didn't see it. My sister saw it and everything. I think that's why she's fucked up today, because it was like seeing all of that wealth and being treated like that, you know, treated like royalty. She has that in her, because she's 4 years older than me, so she was older than me. She's seen it. I seen nothing but Reaganomics and poverty, you know. So I had a different outlook on everything. And my father wasn't around like everybody else is, you know what I'm saying? But shit, I've become closer with my father now, you know, and later in life. And
where y'all was living at in Chicago though? Y'all was in the projects, y'all was in the hood, where y'all was at?
So check it. We was my mother, when she came and got us, she took us up to Chicago, and there was this spot that was in Wrigleyville that was a Section 8, you know what I'm saying? It's Section 8 low income housing. We lived there for a minute, and then we ended up having to move to Cabrini-Green, and it was fucked. I don't know if you ever heard of that shit.
Oh yeah.
It was fucked up. It was very bad. It was bad. You know, it's no longer. It don't exist no more. Which, you know, I'm conflicted about, because they knocked down all the projects, and then everybody was displaced, and that's how we got drill music. Because all them little dudes, Chief Keef and Vaughn and all of them, they used to be on the low end. You know what I'm saying? They would be in the low end and the motherfucking these buildings, and then they get knocked down, and then everybody scatters, and then some become BDs, some become GDs, shit like that, and it's just like the killing just keeps going on. But back, like, where I can remember what I grew up in was like, so let me just get this straight. You know, first of all, like, gangsters raised me, and when I say that, most, you know, the mainstream, they think of gangsters as these people who are doing like this horrible shit, and they trying to get your kids to do horrible shit. With me, I experienced something totally different, because I guess they knew I had a gift, you know. So they used to tell me what was up, because obviously I'm in the hood. I have to know what's going on. If you at war, if the police come or whatever. But it was like, yo, they're like, Ferrari, you go home. You go home, man. You good at that. You good with that art shit, you know? So that's the side of like gangsterism that most people don't see. So I had a little bit of, I just felt like I was protected in a way, because they just knew that that's not for me, you know? But that didn't mean I can go through shit. You know what I'm saying? I was still there. I was cutting up crack, cocaine, police searching their asshole, we getting shot at, shit like that, you know? But that's the kind of dichotomy, or just the duality that, you know, is not shown most of the time. Because I feel like when Kendrick made that album, Good Kid, Mad City, it was like very important to see. You know, we saw it in Boys in the Hood to an extent, but it's like to see just this dude who, you don't want to be in the motherfucking ghetto. You know, like, I hated the ghetto. That's why when people be like, man, yeah, I got love for the ghetto, I be like, nobody likes this shit. We want to change it, but this is all, you know what I'm saying, this is all motherfuckers got. So it's like, I used to sit around and I would read books. I would be reading books, and I'm reading Charles Bukowski, Chuck Palahniuk, just creative things. And, you know, I'm reading about different places in the world, and I was like, man, I would daydream and just be like, I want to be there. I saw myself there, you know, because every day, and this is no disrespect to nobody who's out there doing this shit, because I know my family's still doing it. This is what's crazy about, I've achieved success. That's what's the problem with this shit in this country, is that you achieve success and you're still not free, because your family is not free. Your friends are not free, you know? So, sorry, I get it. You know what I mean? Like,
they said that about Pac. They said that about Tupac. They said, you know, Tupac would run into large sums of money and record deals and opportunities, but people that was in his inner circle, they always said, even when he got those money opportunities and stuff, he was always a little bit sad, because he knew and understood that, yeah, he might got his hands on $300,000, but it was people in his old neighborhood still suffering. They ain't got $4. They trying to get $4 up to make it to the next day.
They'll hurt you. They'll hurt you, like with Nipsey. What happened with Nipsey, man? That should be breaking my heart. Because now I live in LA, and I'm like, somebody from his own hood killed him, and it's like he was doing nothing. He was trying to help, but I get it, because it's just like, cause see, I remember when we was kids, like when I was a kid. So that's the thing. I had a kind of fractured childhood, you know. Chicago. Then I would go up to, I got family in New York City, right? In Bushwick. And go up there, and it's a totally different vibe than Chicago. You know, well, at least it used to. I don't know what it is now. But, you know, I would say that Chicago feels like it's indiscriminate violence. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just being honest with you. Like, it's just fucking indiscriminate violence, whereas there's violence in New York, but it's all about money. It's about getting money and shit like that, right? So, you know, I would see that we have this thing in common. Same thing that, you know, Pac did talk about this, how we have this poverty, and not all of us are poor. Don't get me wrong. Like, there are some black people that I meet that cannot even relate to what I'm saying right now. But you know who I'm talking to when I'm talking about, you know, where we come from. And yeah, it just seems like it's designed to separate you. Because I'll be honest with you, lads, I'm not going back to the hood. I'm not going back to the hood, and ain't because I'm no pussy or none of that shit. It's because I'm fucking smarter than that now. Like, I try to help. I do, like, with organizations, all types of shit, but it's like I'm not doing that. Because it was just 3 years ago, I got a call from my guy. It's he's a Dominican dude. He told me, he was like, yo, it's some cats that's plotting against you. You know what I'm saying? And they want to, you know, kidnap your sister and do some horrible shit. Like, just talking about all this bad stuff. I was like, I don't know. I ain't even been around. I don't understand why this is whatever, you know? And, you know, I don't want to go too into details, but it got to the point where it was just like, okay, somebody is targeting me, you know, because they think that I have, they probably think I got more than I have. They think, oh, we know you, so why you ain't around no more? You know what I'm talking about? So it's some deep shit that could happen, and it's just like, how can we ever grow if you killing everything that grows?
Yeah, man. It's like the movie The Matrix, when he told Neo, he said, always remember, the same people that we trying to save are the same people that could kill you. You feel me?
Damn, I missed that.
Yeah, it's real like that. Damn. Bro. It's like, you have to be wise enough when you are trying to help the hood or make a difference. You have to be wise enough to know and understand that there is a percentage of the hood that appreciate you, that's proud of you, that's happy that you made it out the hood, that you know you doing something other than going to jail and killing motherfuckers in the street. But then there is a percentage of motherfuckers that them niggas got heavy drug addictions, and they already did so much shit that it's their numbers gonna play any day now. Either they gonna be dead or in the penitentiary, so they don't have nothing to lose, and they don't give a fuck about good, or, you understand what I'm saying, anything positive. They're just trying to get high. That's a lot, you know. As I got older, I realized a lot of the motherfuckers who was gangsters, shooters, and killers, they just had like real bad drug addictions. You feel me? So
yeah. And demons.
Yeah, and, you know? And demons from shit they grew up and experienced in childhood, and, you know, the shit they wasn't supposed to see as a kid. Like most of us, some of us are mentally strong enough or blessed enough to make it out of that shit, and, you know, and turn it into something. But then some of us, you know, they taint it for life. So I love my hood to death. I love my hood to death. But me hanging out there to prove to people that I'm still real, or I still, you know, I'm not scared, or it's just, that's a childish mentality. And you feel me?
It really is. Yeah, it really is.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna help the people I love.
Yeah. Yo, I just want to take this time to give you your roses, man. That's why I was attracted to you, dog. I'm gonna tell you, like, I ain't gonna be humble right now, man. You see, like, I'm out here, like, God, for some reason, my life feels charmed. It's like I was in the worst situations and horrible, abusive, just, you know, my household was fucked up, crack, and police knocking down the door, and all this bullshit. And it wasn't until I was in my mid to late 30s that things started, all of the work that I was doing, I was 37, started coming together, and then I started seeing some results. But I say all of that to say that, you recognize what you are. You attract to what you are, right? So I saw your channel, like I came across your channel one time, and I'm like listening to it. I'm listening to the cats, who have been locked down and shit. And I'm just like, damn, you are a true storyteller and journalist, and that is so I'm in this art world where, everyone is chasing authenticity. Authenticity sells for millions of dollars. I see it all day. Like, these are my peers. I'm doing it. I know how it works. It's like, I feel that, right? So, but what they want, and I'm being honest, man, if any of them hear this shit, then they know this is the truth. That they want safeness. They want the authenticity to be safe, right? But sometimes the truth is not always safe, and you can't just see it on a screen and not be affected by it. It's gonna go with you, and it should transform you, and that's why I think that it's important what you do. That's why I just want to give you your flowers right now, man.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. That's
yeah. Because it's like, because real shit, it's like, we got this opportunity. It's crazy. Like, the internet opened up this crazy opportunity where, like, back in the day, you had to be in Hollywood studios or Def Jam or whatever, and you had to know a motherfucker and all of that. Now it's just like, you can, obviously there's the algorithms and everything, it's another form of governance, but it's nowhere near you having a dream and you having talent and you not knowing where the fuck to go. Because now you can go direct to consumer. Yeah. I'm going directly to you. That's where I'm going, Yeah. So it's just dope, man.
The power is with the people nowadays. Like, people have the power to change the world. Because a person could change the world with one upload.
Exactly.
One upload might cause something that changes the world.
A chain reaction that changes the world. We don't want to think about this because it's hard. It's hard to feel like this about the world, but we are connected. Like, I don't know if you ever thought about this, but the same water that was on Earth 4,000 years ago in ancient Egypt is still here today.
Same water. That's a fact. That's why they say, when you go to the beach, when you go sit in that salt water, it's deeper than just sitting in salt water. You are literally sitting in water that has been on the planet since the beginning of time.
Exactly. Same moon that Caesar looked at before he crossed the Rubicon and took over Rome. You know what I'm saying? You looking at that same moon.
Yeah, and it's the same sunlight, and that same sunlight is being recycled back and forth to the planet Earth, man. So it's all a connection. It's all a connection.
It is, and we are living in an extremely important time, man. That's why I thank you for giving me this platform, because I feel like there are people who might listen to this and hopefully see, hear what I'm saying and see that there's a lane for us outside of art, outside of entertainment and rapping and stuff like that. There are lanes for us. Like, we are inventors. There are so many black inventors that I'm just now still discovering now in my adulthood, where you learn, like, damn, the traffic light or the ironing board, the so-and-so, like, black person did that, and it just lets you know that even with all of the horrible oppression that we be enduring, we still be in the crib cooking up some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we need to get an iron board. Like, what? A black woman made the iron board.
Crazy.
It's it's crazy, man. Yeah, but ask me another question.
Let me ask you this though. Growing up, when you was in Chicago and all of that, do you remember anybody from your childhood who was also super talented that may not have made it?
Bro, yeah. I remember there was this kid named G Wiz. He was a dope rapper, man. And I just remember him, you know, it's one of them faces that will haunt you for the rest of your life. Like you feel like you're gonna see him coming around the corner. It's been I don't know how long it's been. It's been whenever Tupac had the Thug Life little beanies with the tie up in the back and shit. You remember?
Yeah, that was like 91, 92, or 93. Yeah, around then. Yeah, probably
that was around that time. And my sister brought my G Wiz to the crib, right? And he had the Thug Life hat on with the beanie. And my mother like, I don't fuck with that. She anytime he sees some thug shit, they be like, he thug, you know. But after he sat there on the couch for a minute and he charmed her with that, he was like a dark-skinned dude with just this fucking glowing smile, you know. And he started rapping for her, and my mother was like, I like him. You feel me? And he ended up getting killed. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't even, because I was much younger then, I didn't understand how young he was. He was 17 years old. You know? So it was just like every other hood story, there's just a back-to-back of us getting murdered and dodging bullets and shit like that. But
how he got killed? He got killed like
yeah, what? It was a war. It was a war between the Latin Eagles and the Gangsta Disciples, which he was one of, you know, and he was one, but he wasn't like, you know what I'm saying, like he was a rapper, you know. So they killed him, and it was fucking horrible, you know.
I seen them documentaries from Chicago, from Cabrini-Green back in the days, how them dudes used to have snipers on the roof. It was so fucked up. Shit was like the worst projects in U.S. history.
The gangs own the buildings, right? So 630 building, which is where I was at, 630 was a white building. It's like the gangster disciples, they own that building, so to speak, quote unquote, until the police or the SWAT would come in there and raid it. But they would need an army platoon to come up in there because everybody had straps. They were strapped. It was very organized. They had walkie-talkies, rifles and shit on the snipers on the roof and shit. So it was, that's all I can say. It was fucking dangerous and crazy, and I get upset, and I don't get upset at us. I don't get upset at black people because we didn't put ourselves there. There was a system that put us there, you know? And it's funny because, like, once I got knowledge of just, you know, our experience in this goddamn country, I realized that everything that we went through, like, you know, when your hood is being gentrified, you start seeing Valley Fitness and fucking Starbucks, and then the police telling you, don't stand here, you can't, you like, you know, where I'm supposed to be? Where am I supposed to be if I'm not supposed to be where I'm raised, right? You know, whatever, you know. So, but back to your question about special people, man. I grew up with a lot of talented dudes. So the people that I was best friends with, we had our little, you know, I call it the Juice Crew, basically, because we was like Juice, the movie. You know what I'm saying? We was just kind of bad and shit, but we was artists, you know? And I tried to become a little Russell Simmons or whatever back in the day, and I was like, I'm gonna manage some dudes and this and that. And I actually got us some gigs. I got us to open up for Old Dirty Bastard at House of Blues. And we got booed off stage, but it was we got booed off stage. It was like OD, you know what I'm saying? OD Bastard came out there, performed 2 songs, and passed out drunk. But I was just like, I believed in us. I just was like, man, I believe in us. I was always trying to do something, you know? And it hurts that I'm no longer close with a lot of them. I think they probably still follow me and stuff like that. And there's nothing but love. Like, I've named paintings after them that have sold for like a lot of money. And they be like, yo, I saw you put my name in the painting, you know? And it's just that, yo, one time, I'm gonna tell you this little story, right? So one time I was with my guy. He was like, man, this is a close dude to me, right? And he had So the thing is, he was super talented. He was a super talented writer and a deep thinker. You know, we would be talking about different shit when we're together. But when he would get around the gangsters, he would try to act hard, which I didn't like, because I felt like that's being a follower. You know, because people like me regardless. I didn't have to be a gangster. They like, you just, you know, you Ferrari, man, you good, you know? So one day, my man, we was doing some coke. I ain't gonna lie, you know, was fucking around with some coke experiment. We was young. And we high. And we walking. You know how you be walking, you just like got all that energy and shit, you walking. And he told me, man, he was like, yo, I ain't gonna be shit. You know? And the way he looked at me, I knew he meant what he was saying, man. And I did not correct him last. I just listened to him. You know? And I understood and I empathized with him. But at the same time, I knew that was a moment where I said, I gotta get the fuck away from this dude. Because if I'm out here doing all of this shit, manifesting, I believe in myself when nobody else believes, you know what I'm saying? My mother telling me I ain't shit every night, you know, like all the shit we go through, and then you telling me that you believe that you ain't shit, then you ain't gonna be shit. You know, and that's very harsh, and I say that's echoing, you know, a time where we end up meeting with, I don't think it was the whole Wu-Tang, but it was like Raekwon and somebody else, right? And these dude, you know, the dude, we had it to where we would go up to him and we would say, yo, check it out, check this out, tape or whatever, right? And it was them rapping. I went up to Ray and I'm like, yo, this is my man, this is tape, blue. And Ray told him to spit. He said, spit something, right? And my guy froze up and he was like, nah, man, just listen to the tape, whatever, you know. And Ray threw that shit across the floor, man. He was like, if you don't believe in your shit, why the fuck should I? And that always stuck with me, man. And I was like, you know, as hard as it is, it's hard to believe in yourself sometimes because this whole world's trying to fucking tell you you can't do something. But yet you're looking around and you're seeing people fucking doing it. So what makes you any different than them? You know, other than a thought, right? This is just what I tell myself. Because there was times where it's like people tell me you ain't gonna, I mean, I've had motherfuckers tell me like, you're not the one, you're not, your art, it sucks. You know, and in 2 years, these same motherfuckers was buying my shit, calling me, being like, hey man, I was wondering what you're doing. What the fuck you think I'm doing? I don't want to be mean to them, to be like, okay, I'm just not like that. Because I don't get any pleasure out of being like, I was right and you were wrong. It's just I don't want to be around you. It ain't no pleasure in that shit to me, man. Because at the end of the day, you know, what I've been longing for my whole career and my whole life is just a motherfucker who, I guess you would call it a mentor. A true mentor where they like, man, young blood, I'm going to show you how, and it don't exist. I've had to become that for myself. You know? And I don't blame that on anybody. I just think that we are in this fucked up predicament because especially in the art world, they got these like, I'm being super real right now. I'm probably more real than I should be. But it's true. Where it's like, they let so few of us in that we're scared that somebody else, even if they're younger than us, they're going to take our position.
That they got us on that. They got us on that one Negro at a time mentality. It's like
right.
It's like
Instead
in
of
Hollywood.
Thinking of it like the more of us, let's say each one teach one, the more of us that nobody thinks they don't want that. You know? So that's something, you know, I focus on things that I could change. I can't change that, but I can change it in my circle. I can change it how I move. You know, one person that I look up to tremendously is Harry Belafonte. Looking over his life, you be like, man, Quincy Jones, you know, like whatever, you hear a little bullshit about him, but it's like that dude maintained his whole thing throughout his life. He comes from the ghetto of Chicago and he did great things, and I'm sure he touched people's lives in ways that we don't know about, you know. But if you lose yourself in this shit, then it really, you basically are worse off than when you started. You know? Because you could get all the fucking money. Because, like, money, I ain't gonna lie, like, I love money. Everybody loves money, and he loves comfort and security and shit like that. But what if you gotta give up some ass for it or something? You know what I'm saying? Or you compromise who you are. It's not fun anymore. So, you know, I try to be 100% with my intentions and set my intentions of what I want in life. You know, I do want to be wealthy, continue to be wealthy, and I want to be a philanthropist and help out where I can without hurting myself, putting myself in danger. And yeah, like, that's all you can do. But I just want to tell all the kids, man, because I know y'all ain't gonna listen. I don't know, man. I be feeling like, unless a motherfucker talking about some King Von murdering motherfucking shit, then it ain't really respected out here. But I'm sure there's somebody out there who wants to do something that's beyond that, because that's a dead fucking end. You know? Like, all of the gangsters that I know are gone, man. They either gone or they just went straight, you know, and they want to just have a construction job, man. They just want to, like, take care of their kids, man. That gangster shit, I don't know who put it into us and what the fuck. I guess it's a survival mechanism, but it's wrong, man. It's wrong. You know, real man, yeah, like a real man take care of his family. A real man will defend his family. Ain't no bitch about it, you know? But also, he ain't gonna be putting himself in penitentiary chances, man. Because they take your shit away. They take your freedom. And that's why when we was texting earlier, you were saying, like, son, like, it's dope that you got, you know, your thing where you can carry, you know what I'm saying? And I try to take, like, young people to the range as much as possible, because I see white people, they be having little 6-year-olds or 5-year-olds at the range. And it's because they teaching them early to defend yourself, you know? And we're taught that guns are bad. You know, my mother, when I was like 12 years old, I had a 380. She threw that shit down in the incinerator. You know what I'm saying? She was like, what the fuck you doing with a gun? I'm kind of like, yo, mom, read the room. I need a gun. But anyway, they take that away from you when, you know, they get you caught up. So if I was to tell any kids some shit, it would just be like, man, I did not listen. I did crime, and thank God I did not get caught. But the best thing to do is to don't do no crime, because then you could be legally armed, you could be strapped, you could protect your family. You know what I'm saying? Because it's becoming more and more dangerous out here for us. If you watch the news even a little bit, you'll see what the temperature is in this country. It's going back to 1925 or some shit. They're trying to, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to take us back, way back. So you want to be able to defend yourself and be right. You know? That's my rant right there.